Hi guys, hope you're well. Since my last video I've been absolutely bombarded with questions and tips on how to help with an autistic person that suffers with breakages in routines. Well, each individual will suffer or have a challenge in a different way. I can only really talk about from my personal experience with breakages in routines. Still to this day, I still have to practice the counselling that I've been given and help along the way from professional people to overcome those challenges. So even Ju, my partner, coming home from work, if she's a bit late, I might have concerns, anxiety. My anxiety level might start to raise, just as an example, because it's a breakage in routine. I still feel these fundamental issues, but I have ways to deal with them. So the theory, as a very top level overview, that the theory that I use is to understand that my autism is actually separate to how my brain functions on a day-to-day basis now. So I've tried to split the two up. So I have what's called my inner child, which is the child that acts on behalf of the autism, and then I have the way I would like to think, the way I have trained my brain to function more in line with a stereotypical person, because that is how I can best communicate with people. Sometimes I still find myself slipping up. If someone was to say something, like in the gym the other day, somebody said something and I just took it literally, and I thought, hang on a minute, it's a joke, but I've took it literally. So I just sometimes, because of my autism, it takes a couple more seconds or even minutes sometimes to actually process what somebody said or what's happened in front of me. But because I've got that understanding now, I can process that and put it into a manageable format, so it doesn't interfere with my day-to-day life, as it were. So breakages in routines. So I feel that the best way to approach it is baby steps. If you start trying to swim before you can paddle, you're going to drown, essentially. So I think doing slow steps and getting reassurance along the way that it's okay, and I think rather than doing something in reality, I think doing trial runs. This is what I did. So I put myself up to the challenge. So I said, right, today I'm actually going to not eat at 10 o'clock, I'm going to eat at 10 past 10, but I know it's okay, and I'm reassuring my inner child, which I refer to it as, which is the autistic side of me. And I reassure that inner child that it's okay to be 10 minutes late. And then once I get 10 minutes late, I talk to the inner child and I tell the inner child that that was okay to be late. So then when something actually comes up that is in reality and we're talking 10 minutes late, okay, it's more of a challenge, because we're then predicting the unknown. We're then dealing with something that, let's say Ju, again as an example, Ju, my partner, coming home from work, and we're at 6 o'clock, and then we start running into 10 past 6, quarter past 6, anxiety levels rising. But I will put in provisions and I'll reassure myself that it's okay, and no matter what, things will be okay. And how do I get that reassurance? Well, I get the reassurance from looking at previous events that have been okay. And I'm 27 years old and I'm still living today. And I look at all the things that I've overcome. So I look at when I didn't have freedom, when I didn't have control, and I was bound by somebody else's control, which was, for me, really, really scary. Not being the master of my own destiny. So now I have that freedom. I have a lot more control naturally. So I'm already in a much stronger position. So these are the sort of things I would start to reassure myself with, and I would start going through that process. The same, it's a similar thing with like OCDs and things like that. You don't just go, right, I'm going to stop everything. So I'm a clean freak and I'm going to clean the whole house. Right, I'm going to stop, because things like that just don't work. And it's the same with a routine and an autistic person. You have to do these things gradually. You have to do it with reassurance, and the best way to do it to start with is to hold the the autistic person's hand and do it with them and show them it's okay, and then do it and slowly work up. And it's not going to come overnight, because this is hard wired in. Excuse the crudity, but this autism is not something that's just going to go away. People were born with this, but we can try and channel it, and we can try and work with it so it's less extreme. My thoughts used to be extremely extreme, and they still would be now. But I've learned from having amazing people around me to how to gain perspective and how to see it from somebody else's view. So when I'm confronted with a situation that I'm uncomfortable with, and I'm referring to it from an autistic point of view, so my inner child is looking at it, I will look at it from the way I want to look at it, which is the brain that I've created. And I will look at it and I will think, well, this is the perspective that I've got currently. How would your stereotypical person look at it? What perspective would they have? And then I will look at it from a bird's eye point of view, from somebody that's completely neutral, and look down on the situation and see how they would see it. And then 9 times out of 10, or to be honest, I think probably 10 times out of 10, I would be thinking, well, I'm probably completely overreacting to this situation, and in my eyes it looks like a massive deal, and something that's going to take over my whole life. But then the question I often ask myself is, in 2 weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time, in a year's time, is it even going to matter? Is it going to matter that, again, refer to Jew being 10 minutes late? No, it's not. And why am I actually worried that Jew is going to be 10 minutes late? Well, it might be that I've cooked tea and the tea's going to go cold, or we had something to do, we were going to walk the dogs. But actually, if you think about it, it's by overreacting, it actually makes the whole situation worse and exaggerates everything. So I give myself reassurance, and then I basically make sure that each time that situation arises, I go through the same process. And now, because it's happened, because I've had so much counselling, and I understand how the autism can take over, I very rarely get such extreme emotions, thinking. It's more challenges, like I say, that the things that are really, really hardwired to taking things literally. I still sometimes struggle with jokes because I will take things literally, but I am trying to get more of a sense of humour, excuse the pun. So yes. Right, well, I hope this has helped to shine a little bit of light on routine changes and how it can affect somebody that is autistic. And feel free, again, to fire all your questions. I'm extremely passionate about autism, and I want to do everything in my power to help. I have a great support network, so if I can't get the answer to something, I can refer you to somebody who can, or if you're not comfortable with that at this stage, I can pass messages on and get expert advice and then pass it through the channels. So thanks for listening, guys, and look forward to the next one. Cheers!